What's up, friends? Welcome to another Chaos Live. Doing a little earlier than normal so that I can get a lot of work done. I have next weekend is that big 26 miler, the Baton Memorial Death March. So I'm not going to have a lot of time to work on videos. So I got a lot of videos I need to work on this weekend since I'm not going to have that time next weekend to work on it. So basically doing like 2 weekends worth of work, I guess. So we're doing a little earlier that I can do that. Might watch some UFC fights tonight too, so that also plays into it. But welcome to Chaos Live. If you have never been to one of these, this is my live stream that I do pretty much every weekend to be able to hang out with you guys, answer some questions if you have any, get to know you guys. You know, you can get to know me if you're new to this channel and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you have a question, you can leave it down in the chat. I guess it'd be that way, I think. Yeah, I think it'd be that way. Depending on where you're looking at. If you're on mobile, then it depends. But you can leave your question in the chat. I can't get to everybody's question, so don't take it personal, but I'll do my best to answer the ones that I can. I'm going to be jumping around a lot because if I hit every single question that everybody leaves, then it takes forever, and by the time I get to some people's questions, they will have already left the live stream. So also be aware of that. But if you have a question that I didn't get to, make sure you maybe come back to the video after it's been processed, leave a comment on the video, and I can a lot of times get to those ones. So we usually set a like goal. We'll do this one at 100 again. We didn't quite meet it the last 2 times, I think. But we'll try it. We'll see what we can do. We got some awesome people that were early and jumped right on it and got it right in here. We got Keith God, we got JT, Jalen, what is it, Aeronis, I don't know, Lovable Xena, Calvin, Hidden Shadow, Skechers Kid Gaming, Beth, Malik, we got Steven Edwards, Dreyer, Parker, what else? Doug the Eliminator. We got Sean, Peter Griffin, Peter Dragons. So welcome for all of you awesome people that maybe got notifications because you're a part of that notification platoon and jumped right in for an early live stream. So I'll go through some of the previous stuff and we'll kind of work our way towards the front, but we'll kind of skip around, like I said, so some of your guys' questions might get skipped. Nothing personal, most likely, but I'll do my best. Can you do bloopers? Like what kind of bloopers do you want? You want bloopers in the army? My bloopers? My bloopers aren't really anything exciting, so you wouldn't want my bloopers. So I don't know what kind of bloopers you're talking about. We got Calvin, was it Guten Tag? I mean, are you in Germany or you just know a little bit of German? But hello. It's your boy Skechers Kid Gaming. First for me, was that the first time you got a notification? So this is your first time here for Chaos Live, or just the first time you get notified? Did you watch the rest of that movie yet? I did not, Steven. I don't know when I'll get to do that, but maybe someday. Don't forget to like the video. I agree. 100 likes is what we're shooting for. We're going to try to get to 100 likes before the stream is over. Watching MASH. Hey, Chris, how are you? Skechers Kid Gaming. I am great. How are you? What's up, jabronis? Found out this week that my dad is Sergeant First Class, yet is the acting first sergeant for the unit. Yeah, that is a thing that will happen quite often if there is no first sergeant for that unit, because that first sergeant has moved on to bigger and better things, gotten fired or whatever, then usually they'll have like a sergeant first class, whoever like the senior sergeant first class is, usually will be the first sergeant. Everybody still usually calls him first sergeant if you're the acting first sergeant, even though he's not wearing first sergeant rank, and that's just kind of thing that happens sometimes too, yeah. We're doing a GRTC parade and it's my first experience. Any tips? I don't know anything with a GRTC parade, but I don't know what kind of tips I'd be able to give. I've never participated even in the military in a parade or anything like that, so I don't know. Germany is awesome, at least it was in 1980s. I don't know. I've only been there as a tourist. I've never actually been stationed in Germany, but I'm sure you're replying to somebody that said something about Germany, so yeah. There's not really any tips to give GRTC marches where you're out through. Oh yeah, just responding. How hard would you say it is to get a job after the Army without a college degree? Not too bad. It just depends on what you're trying to get into. Like I have an associate's. I don't really think my associate's degree really helped me get my job. My military experience helped me get my job. So there's a lot of those kind of things. So it just depends on the job, probably. There are going to be some jobs that, yeah, obviously want a college degree. Even if you have military experience, they want that military experience on top of a college degree or whatever. But I think it, in general, just depends on the area. There's some areas that are just really tough to get a job anyways, regardless, and then other ones that are easier. So that kind of plays in the factor in there. But I wouldn't say it's impossible. Your military, you know, experience really helps out with a lot of the aspect of trying to get a job, though, I think. Did they do away with PLDC? No, they just renamed it. It went from PLDC to Warrior Leader course, and then from Warrior Leader course to now BLC, the Basic Leaders course. So this is really just changed names. So what's up, Chasing Dreams? How's it going? Shipping on Tuesday. Wish me luck. Well, good luck, Bill. Good luck on basic training and all that fun stuff in your adventures. Chris, do you have ESPN Plus? I think it's crappy that they are making people pay for UFC fights or other than pay-per-views. So only fights that are on ESPN Plus, because they also have fights on ESPN. So I mean, it's not too big of a deal. There's a lot of fights on ESPN Plus, and it's pretty cheap. I do have ESPN Plus. It's like $4.99 or something like that a month. So I mean, yeah. But then they also have basically the ESPN channel that'll play other fights as well. So you have ESPN Plus, ESPN, which is a free one if you have cable or if you have that channel, and then the pay-per-views. But really, ESPN Plus is kind of taking away from some of the fights they used to have on Fight Pass, and you had to pay for Fight Pass too. ESPN Plus is actually cheaper than Fight Pass, so I don't know. No more chaos for a few months. I know, Bill. You have to binge watch when you get a chance. I'm 27, going in the Army. Any advice? Will I be the oldest there? It depends. I mean, you could easily have some people in their 30s. I remember like when I was in basic training, I had a guy that was like 31 or something like that, 32. And you give him crap because he's older than everybody else. Majority of people are like 18, 19 years old, or 20, around that kind of ballpark. And then anything over that is old to them. So that's always kind of the weird thing. But being the oldest at 27, no, I imagine you're probably gonna have some people maybe that are like in their early 30s still. So, does the GI Bill allow you to go to law school? So the GI Bill only really covers a certain amount of years. I always forget, is it 2 years or 4 years? I think it's only a 2-year degree. I don't remember for sure though. It might be more than that, because I think I still have leftover stuff, and I got a 2-year degree. It might be a 4-year degree. But if you can do law school in the amount of time, then you might be able to, because I don't believe it's really a cap on the amount that it pays for. It's more of a time period. So possibly, I guess it just depends on that. So which branch should I try to be a drill instructor in? I guess it really depends on which branch you want to be in, because it works differently, I guess. So you don't, like, it's hard to, I don't know if you can really volunteer for being a drill instructor. I mean, yeah, I guess that once you become an E6, you can request you to come up on recruiting or drill sergeant orders and stuff like that. But I think it would matter more of which branch you want to be in. I don't really think that there's any specific advantage to being a drill sergeant in the Army over the Marines, or in the Marines over the Army. It's really just a matter of which branch you would rather be in and be a drill sergeant. But you're not going to get to, that's not like an MOS or a job. That's a duty that you would do later in your military career. Not at the beginning of your career, because like I said, you usually have to be E6. There's some people that be E5 as a drill sergeant, but the more common one is an E6. So that's the tougher part. Can you send me a chaos stickers? I know, Steve. I need to send you one. I got your address still. I'll send you one here soon. I keep on forgetting about it. That's the hard part. It's easier when you send me a letter with like a self-addressed envelope, because then I just stuff one right immediately and then throw it in the mailbox. But when I have to do it, then I forget and I put it off. But yes, Steve, I will. And if anybody else wants one, I have an address, P.O. Box down below. If you send me a self-addressed envelope with a stamp on it, then as long as I still have chaos stickers, I'll throw you a chaos sticker in the envelope and send it back to you. So, drill instructor in the Marines, drill instructor is Army. Yeah, well, so drill sergeant is Army. Maybe that drill instructor is Marines. So, yeah, if you want to get technical with the terms and stuff, then it works a little differently. I don't remember what it is for Air Force and Navy. So, I'm 30 and going now. Wow, chasing dreams. Yeah, so you might get some crap. Some people giving you crap because you're old in their standards. So that's always kind of the craziness of it all. Are old school recruit boots black no longer authorized? Yeah, you can't wear black boots anymore. You have like the black ones for your dress uniform. They're not really boots though. They're like dress shoes. Those are black. But yeah, you wouldn't. Soldiers aren't allowed to wear the black boots anymore. That's been a thing for quite a while now. I think that got phased out pretty much. Well, as soon as you went to the ACU uniform, you weren't allowed to wear black boots anymore. So that pretty much went to that phase. So that was pretty much back in 2005-ish. around there. The black boots got phased out, so no more black boots and having to shine them and all that craziness. Post 9/11 GI Bill covers 4 years. Yeah, so then the Montgomery GI Bill should be the same. It should be, I believe it's this, I don't know, because I have the Montgomery one, and if I use up all of it, then I can switch to the post 9/11 for an additional year if I want to. But yeah, Chris, new Chaos Skull will be here early next week. Awesome, Doug. I have some new Chaos shirts. You know, I'll show you guys the new Chaos shirts that I've got. We got some new ones, brand new ones that just basically went up. For Teespring is the one that makes my shirts, and I got those up on Teespring yesterday, but they're not up on ThatChrisChaos website yet. So that'll be a thing once they're up on there. I'll show you guys what they kind of look like. So I have this one here. This is the cryptic kind of design, so it's got like the cryptic kind of pattern to it with the Chaos logo and then a flag over there. So this is one of the new ones that'll be available on ThatChrisChaos.com here soon. And then it's also got a back. I think the back's just plain, but the whole shirt has this cryptic logo kind of design or camo. And then there's also this one, which I really like, kind of a little bit patriotic. So it's got the skull with American flag, a black Chaos logo with a red outline, and the back of it has like a support the troops style American flag with the green line to support the troops. So that's a new Chaos shirt that's also up at Teespring, but not my website yet. And then there's also this one as well, the multicam one. So that one's got the Chaos one. The back of it is just plain, but the whole shirt is multicam. So new shirts, they will go up on website here soon-ish. Once I do that, I'll also have a discount code probably. But I mean, if you don't want to wait for it, then you can go to Teespring on my shirt. I think there's like a shelf at the bottom that usually you get to for the Teespring shelf. Otherwise, if you just hold off for a little bit until I get it onto the ThatChrisChaos website, there'll probably be a discount code to either get free shipping or maybe a little bit off on the price for like the initial launch kind of a thing that I'm going to do. So those are cool new Chaos shirts that are available. So black jump boots are authorized for the blues, if I'm not mistaken. For if you're in an airborne unit, is it the black boots? I don't remember if they use black boots still. I think they use the regular ones now. I don't remember for sure on that. But airborne units will wear boots with a dress uniform. But I can't remember for sure if they're the black ones or not. They might be the black ones. But that's kind of the only really limitation. If you're in an airborne unit, then they have those situations where they wear the boots with the dress uniform, the ACUs. My recruiter says that the Army is the only branch that will guarantee your MOS before MEPS. Is that true? I think so. Because I don't think, I know Marines doesn't. Marines, they're just going to throw you in whatever job that they need you in. So that's for sure with that. But I don't know for sure with Air Force or Navy. So I know that you can pick your job with the Army, but I don't believe that. I think it's kind of a tough situation with the other branches. So that's kind of the tough part, I guess. Yeah. My grandpa, World War II Army veteran, is my grandmother. Dad, World War I Army veteran, is my dad. Navy veteran, and my uncle veteran. My friend is Army. Awesome. I bought the new one, the camo skull. Yeah, that was a different one. I didn't show that one here. That one's up too, but that one's also not up on ThatChrisChaos.com. That's just really available through that shelf thing. If you go through the shelf on like Teespring or on my channel, on different videos. But yeah, Doug was one of the quick ones to get on that shirt before I even have it on my website. There's actually you and one other person that picked up that shirt before I even have it on the website. But it'll be on the website here pretty soon, hopefully. All those new ones. There's also another one that I'm not too big of a fan of. I'll probably put it on there, but it's the Chaos logo with the cryptic kind of pattern inside of it. So we'll see. So yeah, Doug, you said the cryptic one was called Camo Skull when I bought it last week. That one's a different shirt. I didn't show that one just now. That one's a different one, but there's like several different ones. I think I showed that in the last live stream. I posted about it on Instagram though. But when they're up on the website, I'll probably post about it on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Probably even in the little community section here on YouTube. And along with it, I'll probably have like a little discount code. It'll be kind of cool. It'll go along with it to get it if you want to get one of those shirts for even cheaper. So. Can I secure the job I actually want at MEPS instead of the limited 7 or 8 job my recruiter supposedly told me I could only get into, even though my ASVAB scores show differently? So normally it works when you go to MEPS, you go through all the physicals and everything like that, because some MOSs could potentially be eliminated because of certain aspects of your physical or whatever. Like if they find you have any kind of color blindness or any other types of limitations that they find, then some of those could be eliminated. And then they look at your ASVAB score and combine that with your physicals and everything. And then they'll see what's available for slots, because sometimes that is a big thing. You may qualify for an MOS, but there might not just be available slots for people to go into that MOS right now, because maybe it's a full MOS. Maybe they don't need any more people for that MOS. So that sometimes can play a factor in there. But usually at MEPS is when they will lock in what MOS is available. They'll kind of give you options. Hey, these are MOSs that are available for you based on your ASVAB score, your physical, as well as slots that are even available, because that, like I said, is a factor as well. So usually at MEPS is when you'd be able to lock in what your MOS is going to be. I met an infantryman whose call sign was Chaos. Awesome guy. That's awesome. There was, I think in 410 Cav, there was a Chaos platoon. I think there was in the Scouts. I thought that was kind of cool, because I had the Christopher Chaos thing since back in the late 90s. It was like my thing, but I didn't really start using it until I started getting more into video production stuff. But so it wasn't because of that platoon that I had the Chaos thing, but I always thought that was pretty cool. Do dog tags break easily? How is the replacement process? The chain, I've had it a few times, like the chain breaks off and maybe you lose your dog tags because of it, but not too bad. And then the replacement process, you can either go to certain places like Off Post, sometimes we'll make them, and you can remake them. Otherwise, you can usually go to this place called SRP, On Post, that'll make new ones. So you can do it that way, usually one of the two ways to get new ones. But a lot of times it's a key thing you gotta have, and people will check for it in inspection and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but there's a few places, either Off Post or On Post, that you can usually get new dog tags made. So is 13 Fox a good MOS in the Army? Is that the firefighter one? I forget now. I don't remember. 13 Fox MOS is the Joint Fire Support Specialist. I don't imagine. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I knew really anybody in that MOS. Those are going to be the individuals calling for fire and a few other different job duties. So I couldn't really give you a good opinion on it because I didn't really work in that field. So somebody else would have to tell you. There's Calvin in the comments there saying 13 Fox is badass. They do a lot of cool shit. Basically, you spot targets for the artillery. So there you go. Yeah, you're doing a lot of that call for fire mission stuff. So thank you for answering my question. Nice job on the videos. Keep it up. Keep on informing us future soldiers. Well, you're welcome. Not a problem. I do my best to try to answer, whatever questions I can. So it's a little bit different style here today. We're doing a little bit earlier of a live stream, but it's whatevers. Is there a reason why all Marines contracts don't answer any basic questions? What are we talking about? Is there a reason why all Marine contracts won't answer? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Is always ask a recruiter, even on the website question chat. There's a chat? There's a chat on the website? Maybe for certain recruiter stations have that. The Army will put your MOS in the contract, but you can be reclassified in AIT under certain circumstances. Usually that'd be pretty rare, because technically if they reclass you and you signed up for a certain thing, then that's falls into the category where you can actually get out of the Army early because of the basically breach of contract, basically. So I wouldn't say they can necessarily reclass you. You need cross-trained, but you can only do that usually for a certain amount of time. Otherwise, it's technically breach of contract. So it's not going to be a thing where you sign a contract to be an 88 Mike and all of a sudden they're, no, screw it, you're going to be an 11 Bravo. That's not going to be the case. It doesn't usually work that way. You can get some additional skills, additional identifiers to kind of reclass, but completely changing it usually ends up falling under a breach of contract, which we've had situations like that in the Army where we had tankers doing 88 Mike jobs because the tanker platoons were pretty full and over strength, and some of the support guys were understrength, and they sent some of them over to us. And they can only do that for a certain amount of time, though, because otherwise it falls into a category where those soldiers could technically request for early release because they are under breach of contract. So then eventually we had to send them back over to the tanker platoons to go back to doing their tanker jobs. So that kind of plays in there too. Sorry I'm late. Give me $5. Man, what the deal? No. What should you do to mentally prepare for basic training? I don't really know if there's a whole lot you can mentally do, really. You just got to understand that it might suck. You might have a great time. It just kind of depends on the individual sometimes. So you just got to get that into your mindset of knowing that yeah, this might not be fun. This might suck really bad. I might have a good time, but don't let that discourage you. And just understand that it's only temporary. It's only for that 10 weeks. You know, if you're doing basic training, if you're doing OSIT, then that can really vary. But just understand that, you know, you have that a certain amount of, you know, time when you know, it's going to suck for that amount of time possibly, and then it gets a lot better. Once you take your first unit, the first duty station, then it gets a little bit better. So that's the best way I can think of to mentally prepare for it, is just understand that it could suck. So yes, I agree with the Lovable Xena. Don't forget to like the stream. So this current stream right now, what are we at currently? We're at only 25. But it's a little bit slow because a little bit earlier time than, you know, most people maybe are busy enjoying their weekend right now. They're out and about having a good time, and not everybody has the opportunity to jump on here and check out the live stream during the afternoon, or depending on what time zone you're in, you know, around that time frame. But I got other stuff to do this evening, so that's why we did a little bit earlier than normal. So yeah, but yeah, make sure to like the stream. We're trying to get to 100 likes before the stream ends. We'll see. After I let Yuma Proving Grounds, they built 6 new ammo bags. What? Unless you're a pro athlete, you legally have to go, or contracts. I don't know what that's referring to. Don't forget. Yeah, we already did that. Don't forget to like stream. Chris, we had some guys that flaked out in AIT and they were given a choice: grunt or spoon, or chaptered out of the army. So that can be a case. Yeah, if you can't do that MOS, you fail that AIT, then yeah, that could be a possibility where they're gonna be like, hey, you can either reclass to something else, or we're gonna go ahead and just kick you out of the army because you failed AIT. They might give you a couple of chances in that case, you know, where maybe you get a second chance if you want it, or whatever, or maybe they just force you into a second chance, and then after that, if you still fail that AIT, then they might be like, yeah, you either have to reclass to something else, or we're going to kick you out of the army. So that might be a case where you could end up getting reclassed if you failed AIT. But for the most part, if you're doing fine in AIT and you're passing, they're not just going to be like, yeah, you know what, we decide we want to change your MOS. That's not usually a thing. Did your drill sergeants ever give you any good advice on the day of graduation or basic training? I don't really remember. They gave us a little talk afterwards to kind of what things to expect or whatever, but I don't remember. If they did give me any advice, it's probably not something I still remember to this day. So I don't know. It probably wasn't something that kind of stuck with me or anything like that. So. What's that? Oh, yeah, hey, someone joined the Chaos Army. Sometimes that'll pop up for new subscribers, only if they have it shared publicly. Specifically, 68 Whiskey requires you to pass EMT testing. They will give you ample opportunities. Yeah, so that's probably a possibility. There's a lot of different ones, especially like Special Forces. You try out for 18 X-ray, you go through the whole process, and you don't make selection, then you're not going to be Special Forces, and you're probably going to be an infantryman. So that's a possibility. There are, I guess, some certain things like that, but it's usually because you failed something that you're getting reclassed to a different MOS, not because they just wanted to change it for whatever reason. That's not really a thing. So that can end up happening. So yeah. What do we got? Can you buy gear like vests and helmets like the Army and take on deployments? Oh, you say your own gear? Sometimes they're gonna want you to wear like the vest and the helmet. that stuff, they want you to use the military approved version. You can't really use like your own version of that. Certain other things like gloves or certain other things you could probably, you know, kind of modify. But certain ones like the vest and the Kevlar and uniform and all that stuff like that, those you can't like just buy some civilian version of it and rock it that way. So just kind of be aware of that. We got a super chat. We got John with a $10 donation. Thank you so much for the donation. What would you say the hardest part of basic training in your personal opinion? And was the big Army and was ODD transition from boot the big Army? I don't know what that last part is, but the hardest part, let's see, hardest part about basic training. Probably just the mental part, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of physical stuff you'll do, but a lot of times they're whipping you into good physical shape to be able to handle the physical stuff. It'll be difficult at first, and then it starts getting easier, you know, physically. But the mental part messes with you for most of it. So I think most of it is the mental part. You know, you're worried about getting yelled at, not wanting to screw up. You don't know if, you know, you do this wrong, if they're going to kick you out of the Army. It's probably a little bit better on information now because you probably see a lot more experience with other veterans and soldiers who have been through basic training, giving you stories, so maybe you're less worried about getting kicked out because you know, fell out of a run or something like that. But a lot of the mental aspect, I think, was like the hardest thing. A lot of the physical stuff, they whip you into shape so you can handle that stuff. But a lot of the mental stuff is you know, kind of a little bit of a challenge of being worried about getting yelled at and all that kind of stuff. And then the second part of your thing, I don't think I understand your second part of it though, was big Army and odd transition from boot to, okay, so you're talking about maybe from going from boot camp, from basic training to regular Army. Sort of, you know, you're used to it being really super strict, and then all of a sudden things get a little bit more relaxed. You know, you have a lot more freedom, and you're like, holy crap, this isn't too bad. And you're a little more comfortable now. So that is kind of a little bit of a different kind of a change. You know, you're used to being yelled at and everything, you know, some people being just assholes to you or whatever, to all of a sudden people treating you somewhat normal. I mean, when you're a private, you still get kind of treated differently, but the transition is a little bit better. You have a lot more freedom, and you're like, you know, pretty excited to be actually, you know, able to run free on your off time and, you know, go check stuff out and relax and sleep in on the weekends and all that kind of craziness. So it's a good change though. It's a very exciting change. EOD and medical MOSs have high failure rate, I'm told. Possibly. I don't know what the actual failure rates are for those, but it's possible, maybe. If you fail Special Forces training, are you reclassified to not so Special Forces? Pretty much. Pretty much. Most commonly people get reclassified or become 11 Bravos. There can be other circumstances, but majority usually end up 11 Bravos because you've already gone through the training. Because you already go through basically the same training when you go in Special Forces as you would go through for 11 Bravo. So it's very easy to just go and say, all right, well, this guy failed to make selection, so now you're an 11 Bravo. Now we can just simply send you to a unit. Where if they decide that they want to make you a cook or they want to make you something else, now they also have to additionally send you to AIT for that. So that's why a lot of times the people that fail Special Forces training just become 11 Bravos because they've already done the training basically to get them there. So what do they give you at CIF? A lot of stuff. I might do a video at some point in time on like common issued gear, but it's going to be like your helmet, your vest, sleeping bag. You have coveralls they usually get. Sometimes it depends on your MOS too, as far as certain equipment you'll get, because like tankers and certain other individuals will receive the CVC helmet. For like the special ones that have like the radio communications, sometimes you get that issued at CIF, sometimes that comes through your supply or unit. But I'll probably at some point in time do a video on some of the common gear that usually everybody gets issued, like the cold weather gear, wet weather gear, all that kind of craziness and all that stuff. So that will really vary on your unit a lot of times as far as what you get. Holy moly, we got a super chat from John. John dropping down a $50 donation? That rocks, man. You're awesome. I think you have just now surpassed the highest donation this channel has ever received. So John now holds the record, which I appreciate very much for the donation, but you have the record now for the highest donation on this channel. So thank you very much for that. So what do we got? We got any advice for passing the ASVAB? I suck at math. I appreciate all you do for your channel, sir. Do you have any advice for someone trying to become a Victor 20 or 25 Victor or 12 Bravo? So first part, I guess, for passing the ASVAB. There's a lot of great stuff that is available now that like wasn't available when I took the ASVAB. I screwed around and took the ASVAB just to get out of class. And I didn't study for it or anything like that. But now you have a lot of online stuff. There is several websites that are free that you can do like practice ASVAB tests. I would recommend those. Doing the hell out of as many free ones you can find to really practice those. Specifically with math though, I think you can actually cater some of those websites down to specific topics to focus on. So if math is what you feel like is your weak point, then you can work on, you know, just math of the ASVAB. So you can work on it that way. There's also like, what is it? I think they have ASVAB for Dummies that you can do. So you can go and do it that way if you want, where you can get the book, the ASVAB for Dummies, or like I said, if you want to do the free route, do a lot of those free practice tests online. Just do a Google search for like ASVAB practice test. I've seen some of them, like I said, you can narrow down the topic to do something specific for that. And then you said someone trying to become was it 25 Victor or 12 Bravo? So 25 Victor is the one I would be interested in, like if I was to go back in the Army for video production. So I don't really know anything about it. Really 12 Bravo either. It's MP, right? Let me make sure that's right. Is that what it is? 12 Bravo? 12 Bravo. Oh no, combat engineer. So you get to work with cool explosives a lot of times, depending on the unit you end up in. But as far as those MOSs, I mean, you're going to learn everything that you have to learn in AIT anyways. So there's nothing really you can do to prepare for that. It's a matter of which one you want to do the most. Do you want to blow shit up, or 25 Victor is the video production one, right? Let's make sure on that. 25 Victor, right? Is the combat documentary production. That would be a cool MOS. Because I'm interested in video production, I think that would be an awesome one. But it depends which one you want to do more. You want to do video, recording, where they're going to probably send you out with units to record their training and different training videos, probably making those, or do you want to go blow stuff up? So I guess it really depends on your personal preferences, what you'd rather do. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you. Like I said, I recommend online ASVAB study stuff. That'd be great. But thank you, John, for the donation. You rock. So thank you so much for that. I'm enlisting in the Marines, but do you have any tips to get in shape? I'm scared of failing training. Cardio. Do a lot of cardio. That's always one of the big tips that I give for people trying to get into shape, is to do a lot of cardio, because that'll help you. I mean, it's good to just, add in there the push-ups and sit-ups to build those strength stuff. Especially like with the Marines, you're gonna have to do, pull-ups. It's not required, but you can't max the physical fitness test if you don't do pull-ups. Like they give you now the option to do push-ups if you don't want to do the pull-ups, but you can't max your physical fitness test. So it's just a matter of if you want to try to get that high score or not on your physical fitness. So, working on your running, because running in the Marines, they do 3 miles instead of 2 miles like the Army does, and then you do pull-ups and crunches. So cardio would be a big thing to work on. And then from there, while you're working on your cardio, try to work on some of the upper body strength for push-ups or some pull-ups or whatever, and then a little bit abdominal strength. But cardio is usually the big one to really help out. Do you have to buy a uniform for the PX, or can you buy them elsewhere if they are Army issue? So they have this place called Clothing and Sales that you'd get your uniforms from. Technically, you could get like your uniforms from like a surplus store, but a lot of times the ones from surplus stores are kind of faded. So that's kind of the only problem with that. So, but you can get them from, as long as they're serviceable and they're the right uniforms, then you can really get them from anywhere you want, really. Has CIF issue changed over the years? Back in the day, they issued us used crappy stuff. Have they upgraded to new gear? No, there's still going to be a lot of used stuff, because a lot of stuff gets recycled. So you go and you turn in your equipment, get nice and clean, hopefully, before they'll approve it, and then they turn around and give that stuff to somebody else. So a lot of the times it's used stuff. There is sometimes we get new items, like I ended up getting a brand new Kevlar, because the helmet, because they had new ones that just came out, and we were getting ready to deploy to Iraq, so we got the brand new ones because of that. But there are some cases where you get brand new stuff, and then sometimes you are getting basically used stuff, so that still is a thing. When did I get out of the Army? I got out in 2010, but I still currently work with the Army as an instructor on the civilian side though. But I was out of being a soldier in 2010, but I still work around soldiers and the military as an instructor on Fort Carson now. So, will they retire OCPS? I Oh, the OCPs. That's the new uniform, right? The operational camouflage pattern. Will they retire it? I don't think so. That's pretty new uniform. So I don't see why they would retire it. Do you have Insurgency Sandstorm? I don't think so. I have Insurgency, but I think it's just the basic one. It's a game, by the way, which I haven't played that game in a little while. I was gonna do a gaming live stream last night, but I got too busy. So I don't know when I'll do a gaming live stream. I haven't done one in a little while, but hopefully at some point in time I'll do a random gaming live stream. Those are fun to do, even though I suck at video games, but still, some people like to hang out. How does the chow hall work? Is it buffet style or payment per plate? Curious as to how it works. It's not really buffet style, but it's not really payment per plate. So like if you're a single soldier, you just show your meal card and then you go get your meal. Sometimes you can go back for seconds. Sometimes it depends on the chow hall. And then if you're not a single soldier, then you have to pay for it, which is like super cheap. It's like $3.25 for like lunch and dinner, and then I think breakfast is even cheaper or something. I forget what the rates are, but that gets you basically, you know, whatever in the chow hall. But it's not really buffet style either, because you have to kind of go back and get in line, and then you have a person that's serving the food to you to give it to you. But a lot of times they'll let you go back for seconds. There is some stuff that's almost buffet style, like usually they have a salad bar, and that's pretty much buffet style because you pretty much make your own salad. Certain other aspects of it, but usually the main meals are more like behind like a little counter with like these, almost like a buffet, but they have someone who actually serves it to you and puts it on the plate for you. So not necessarily pay per plate, but I mean, you could load up with a bunch of food or get a little bit and it's still really the same price. So yeah. Do we go through Army combatives in boot camp? And if we do we have to show off our skill against one another? So you'll learn some basic combative stuff. You won't get certified or anything like that, and you will partner up with someone to kind of learn those skills together, but not in the same way as when you go to like a regular unit and you try to get like level 1, level 2 certified and all that stuff. But you will learn some basic combatives moves in basic training. So John, we got John. Is that the same John from earlier with the super chat, or a different John? Nope, same John. Man, blowing it up, John. Thank you for the $5 donation, man. Would you change branches if you could do it over again? What made you choose your MOS? Maybe switch to Air Force, just because I feel like it's more laid back. Not quite as strict as the Army. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, sometimes you might not get to choose what job you do, so that's kind of the iffy part. And then why I chose that MOS, it was really just something that was available to me. I originally intended only to stay in the Army for like 4 years and then get out and go to school. And then circumstances just led me to have to stay in longer. And, so I really just kind of stuck with an MOS that they gave me that sounded okay to do. I was like, okay, I can do transportation. So I went ahead and went with 88 Mike because that was one of the less sucky jobs that they were offering me. And I went with that. But it wasn't because I wanted to be a truck driver. I just kind of chose whatever one sounded like something I could deal with for 4 years, but 4 years turned into 10. So that's kind of how it ended up being like that. Defect is single payment, one plate, but you often get a lot of food. Yes, just like Calvin says. Combatives, try Western Training Physiology by Daniel Lorenzo and Johnny Lawrence. They're pretty good. I rejected gear from CIF. Ooh, Peter. You're actually like a person that rejecting gear. I think when I went through CIF to get out of the Army, I think I had to go through 3 times total, I think it was, because I know I got rejected the first time on some items. Certain items, passed and they took it, and then certain other items got kicked back and I had to re-clean it. And then I think I got rejected for a 3rd time too, because there's certain other items that I think still weren't clean enough, because it's sometimes crazy how strict they are with that stuff. But yeah. Do I play GTA 5? Not like on stream or anything like that. Occasionally, I haven't done it in a long time, but once in a great while, I'll play it on PlayStation 4, goof around and play it, but not anything for like live stream. What is it about graduating top of your class at basic training? Is there like academic stuff that goes on, or how do they rank people? Some basic trainings don't give a crap. Sometimes they'll point out this person graduated top of the basic training, Some basic trainings will sometimes, you know, put in those people for waivers to get promoted if they can promote those people to like, you know, to E2 or whatever next up rank if they can, based on eligibility. Sometimes they'll give a little award maybe to that person, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter that much. Like I said, maybe in those cases where they maybe promote you early, then you can start making pay a little bit quicker, you know, than some people. But for the most part, there's some basic trainings that don't give a crap. They might recognize you and say, hey, so-and-so did the best of the class, but you don't get anything special, you know, so that kind of just depends too sometimes. So, gotta go, might be back in a bit. Well, thanks, Level Bazina. Probably only have about 20-ish minutes left in the stream. What do we got for likes? We're at 32 likes. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere near the goal of 100 likes, but that's okay. Because the real goal is that people came, hung out with me and had a good time. That's really the main goal. The extra liking part is just extra. So, and issued weapons, can you put different attachments? Sometimes. You're not gonna be able, like, some people want to get like high-speed scopes from, you know, the civilian world to put on their weapon. Sometimes that's not authorized. Usually you got to go with the military approved issued one. Some people can do stuff like surefire lights, that's not a big deal. Or if you want to put a handle on the end of your M4, that's okay. Certain other things will be okay, but it just kind of varies as far as different items. Some items, yes, you can add to them. Some items you can't. The other tricky thing is sometimes you add these cool things to the weapon, and that weapon might get turned in for like maintenance, and then might not come back with that cool attachment that you used to have onto it. Key example. When I came back from my second deployment, I had an awesome surefire light on my M4 that I left on the thing, which I shouldn't have, and all the weapons after we came back from Iraq basically went into maintenance to get tuned up and all the other stuff, and you know everything that they needed to be done to them. When they came back, my weapon didn't have the surefire light on anymore, so the sucker got swiped. I should have left that thing off. So that's kind of the other thing, is you don't want to, you know, they're not going to be responsible for that stuff getting, you know, turned up missing if it's not a military issued thing. So you have to be aware of that. So because like your scope and everything, like you have ACOG or an M68, that's accountable, that the military has to account for that thing. So that better come back from maintenance, otherwise those maintenance people are responsible for that. But they're not going to account for your cool grip that you attach to it, or your cool flashlight that's attached to it. If it comes back with it, cool. If it doesn't, they don't care. So that's also the thing. Usually your unit doesn't care what you put on your weapons, sights, slings, and foregrips, yeah. So it just depends. Sights are a little bit more restricted though. Sights might be a little bit more of a iffy kind of thing of what they're going to allow you to put on there. Can I add you on PS4? You could try to find, I think my screen, I think it's maybe ThatChrisChaos. I don't remember. I don't remember what my thing is. I don't play online though, because I got rid of my PlayStation Plus account because I don't even really play online that much. So it wouldn't do you probably much good because I really don't play online. So not going to do you any good if you did add me. Chris, did they still have the after hours defect on Fort Carson called Midnight Mess? I don't know if they do that. I know that's a thing like when we were deployed to Iraq and stuff. I don't remember them doing that like when you weren't in Iraq. So I don't believe so. That would be a thing like when we were in Iraq. They had the midnight chow. You can go to chow late at night, but for the most part, I don't think they do that in Garrison anymore. If they do, I mean, there might be some installations, but I don't remember that being a thing on Fort Carson. If you enlist as an E2, could you get promoted to E3 in basic training? That might be a little bit tougher because it depends on the requirements, because you have a time and service, time and grade requirement you have to meet. You can get one of those waived, but you can't get both of those waived. So if you got a waiver because you've met the requirement for being in the Army for the amount of time that you need to be in the Army to get promoted to E3, but not the time and rank, then you can get a waiver for that, but you can't get a waiver for both. So that just kind of depends. I would imagine to go from E2 to E3 might be a little tougher to get promoted in basic training, because you probably wouldn't meet that time and grade and time and service requirement. Is there any seafood in basic training chow hall? Yeah, they might. They're gonna have it's a wide variety of food. It's basically the same food you would get in a normal duty station, because it's a normal chow hall really that you have. So you're gonna have that food. There's just gonna be restricted as to what they allow you to eat at. They're not usually gonna want you to eat at the the short order, it's called, like the fast food basically section. They're gonna kind of make you go eat at the healthy side. But there are times when they have maybe like shrimp or fish sticks, if you want to consider that seafood. So they will have some of that stuff a lot of times. There will be times when they might have seafood in the chow hall in basic training. Are you still going to do the movie reviews like you did in the Army now? I don't know. I haven't done a video like that in a while. I thought about doing what was it? What was that EOD movie? I forget what the name of that movie was. But there was a movie I was going to do eventually. But like when I first did that video, it didn't perform very well, so I was kind of skeptical on doing another one. But I'll have to see. I don't know. Maybe. It's not a definitely ruled out thing. Can you spray paint your rifle tan or nature color, or is that Hollywood only? Yeah, that's pretty much a Hollywood thing. They're not gonna allow you to camouflage your weapon or do anything fancy stuff. Sometimes there's times when people would get away with being able to do some of that tape. They have like tape that you can kind of like wrap around like the buttstock to make it camouflage, and you could kind of get away with that like when we were in Iraq. Not really like when you're in garrison, because then you got to turn into the arms room, and the arms room's gonna be pissed that you put this stuff all over it. But when you're like on a deployment, you're keeping that weapon with you all the time, so it's never getting turned in. That's with you the whole time. And sometimes you can get kind of away with that, but not spray painting it though. Like that tape, maybe you can get away with some cases like that. But yeah, they're not gonna let you go and paint it and color it and all that kind of stuff. So, Chris, do they still use M16s in basic training? No, they pretty much, I believe, switched to M4s. There might still be some cases of M16s, but for the most part, most units in the Army have done away with the M16s and are pretty much doing M4s. So, yeah, for the most part. But there might be some places you might find, like especially like National Guard units or reserve units, that are kind of sticking with still have M16s at times, because M4s are more priority to the active duty. Is chow hall food good? It's not bad. I mean, it's not great sometimes. It just depends. There's good days and bad days, I would say. Sometimes it depends on what it is they're making, Sometimes there's good stuff, sometimes there's bad stuff, but for the most part, I would say most of the days are good. I just got, after a while, I kind of got sick of the chow hall, so I stopped eating the chow hall for like the last like 4 years, I think, in the Army. Other than when I was in the field, you had chow hall food, or deployed, you had chow hall food, but for the most part, I would a lot of times avoid the chow hall. I got kind of sick of it, I think. Do they have ice cream? They do. They usually have like a dessert area in the chow hall. They have like soft serve ice cream. Sometimes they'll have I think I've seen some that have like an ice cream little booth. So it's regular ice cream and someone's there to serve ice cream. Sometimes they'll have like cake. So they have like a whole bunch of dessert stuff a lot of times too. But yeah, ice cream's a lot of times, usually there. Don't eat any dessert at basic. Yeah, keep that in mind. You're not gonna eat any of that dessert stuff in basics. Sometimes they'll let you, like near the end, like you are done your last physical fitness test, and they'll be like, okay, you guys, you can go ahead and get cake or ice cream or whatever. We don't care. You just gotta hurry up and eat it, because they're still gonna probably be pretty strict on your time frame. But for the most part, I would just get into your head that you're not going to get any dessert. But some basic trainings might be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit later towards the end of basic training, and let you have cake. But yeah, usually the most part of it you won't get to do so. Is National Guard worth trying for, or is it better to stick with OX branch? As I know, for me, getting into National Guard is like getting it when I view leak. It's hard. It's brag or pride. I don't know. Like I know you've talked about it before, Edward, about like auxiliary stuff. I don't know anything about auxiliary, so I can't compare it to anything. So I don't really know, because I don't know anything about auxiliary military. But National Guard, I don't know. I mean, it's just based on you if that's something you want to do. And I don't know if I want to go. Yeah. So I mean, National Guard is still pretty much Army, but it's still like kind of the part-time Army kind of a thing. So. But I don't know anything about auxiliary, so I couldn't tell you about as far as which one would be better, to go for. But if that's something you're into, then go for it. What's the difference between M4 and M16? The size, yeah, it was one of the big ones, like Bill was saying down there later. M4 is shorter. It's got a collapsible buttstock, where M4 has a collapsible buttstock, so you can bring it in close, or you can bring it back out normal for whatever circumstances. And then M16 does not have a collapsible buttstock. The barrel is a little bit shorter on it. The firing rate is for the most part the same. It just depends on which version, the M4 and M16 you have, as to whether you have auto or burst and all that stuff. And that's really the main difference. There's probably other little subtle things that are also different, maybe some of the mechanism and stuff, but for the most part, the M4 is shorter because it has a collapsible buttstock. It also has a shorter barrel, so in size-wise, the M4 is smaller. So that's really the big difference, really, that most people will notice. I go to the chow hall because it's cheap and easy. Yeah, a lot of people like the chow hall because it's super cheap. You can get, like I said, I think lunch and dinner and all that stuff is like $3 something, and you can get a crap ton of food. You can't even really, it's something cheap like that. I don't remember. It's like 3 or 4 something, 5 something. I don't remember. But it's basically cheaper. You're gonna get more food than you can get like at McDonald's or Burger King or even a restaurant, you know, for that same price. So that is also the big thing. Free refills, you know, so you can load up on drinks, and you know, sometimes like the one I always like going to is the hospital. If you get a chance to go to like the chow hall inside of the hospital, for some reason the food always seems like it's better at the chow hall inside the hospital. I don't know why, but they always usually have the better food inside there. So you always gotta, you know, try that out if you get a chance to. That's always the good ones. Chris, did they still have the after hour? Oh, you already asked that. The midnight mess thing? I already answered that earlier, Doug. Were you not paying attention? Did you fall asleep on me? I said I don't think they do. I don't believe they do anymore. That was only really mainly a thing when I was like in Iraq. They had a midnight chow, but I don't believe Fort Carson has like any kind of midnight mess hall that's open late at night. Edward with a super chat. Edward, thank you for the $5 donation. I was waiting for it to pop up over here. The lights are still flashing. With this new setup, you don't see the lights flash as prominent as you used to before, but this guy still pops up. So Edward, thanks for the $5 donation. New York National Guard is like me getting into Yale, and the main benefit is the pay. Is that worth changing branch or MOS for money? Well, your pay is not gonna be really based on your job or your branch, really. They have the pay rates are based on your rank. So it doesn't matter if you're an infantry person or someone doing some high-speed stuff with computers. If you're the same rank as that individual, you're getting paid the same. So rank is what goes off of your pay. So not necessarily branch or your job. So that's really the main thing you'd have to factor in there. So like I said, do the job you want to do, because it's not going to matter pay-wise. Now, in some cases, what job you have can promote faster in certain circumstances for, like, you know, higher up ranks. Not usually for E1 through E4, but like past E4, when you go to E5 and E6 and everything, some of those can promote faster in certain jobs. So that sometimes can be a factor, but for the most part, whatever job you're doing, it's going to pay the same as any other job in the military. It's going to be based on your rank as far as how much you could possibly be making. Can you be infantry as red-green color deficient? I don't remember. Maybe? I don't remember for sure. Usually you can look it up online by Google searching some of the requirements for different MOSs, and there's certain sites that'll tell you whether or not you can have a colorblind deficiency or not. I don't remember, like off the hand, like which ones can and can't and all that stuff, so I'm not really sure. Different recruiters tell me different answers. Yeah, so because sometimes like even the Army's website is out of date. It's hard to even go off the Army's website. So MEPS would be able to tell you. MEPS would be the for sure one. You know, you go to MEPS, and if they determine you have a red-green color blindness or whatever, then they're going to tell you that, you know, yeah, you've been disqualified from being infantry or whatever job you want to do. So that would be the big one to kind of check with. But you'll find that out like once you go through the MEPS process. And like once you go through MEPS, like if you find out that the job that you want isn't available because you have a color blindness, or it's just not available because of slots that are available for that MOS, you don't have to sign a contract and be like, okay, I guess I'm not joining the Army then. Sorry guys. You know, you don't have to, you know, fall into something, but you can go through the whole process and find out if you can get the job that you want. And if they don't give it to you, then you just move on with your life, I guess. Come back, try again another time or whatever. You can do that as well. Saving up to buy the Barrett M107 50 cal, that'd be pretty crazy. That would be pretty crazy. Okay, Edward, when the super chat's about to pop up, the light's blinking. You can kind of see him blinking, right? You can kind of see like this little pulsating thing kind of going on in the background. Well, yeah, thank you for the $2 donation, though, Edward. Do you know why they can't take meds in basic training? You're just on such a crazy schedule that they can't be responsible for you being so busy that you forgot to take your meds, or there's certain side effects of these meds that are going to make you drowsy and you fall asleep, or a lot of other things. So a lot of times they don't want you to be on medication while you're going through basic training for that reason. Maybe that medication has certain side effects that's not going to allow you to do physical fitness, to the extent that you're going to do. So you can't do that. So there's just a lot of side effects with medication as far as falling asleep, or can't do physical activities, or you have to eat at these certain times with this medication, and that's not guaranteed when you're in basic training because of the schedule that you're going to be on. So that's probably part of the reason why maybe they might tell you that you can't take medication in basic training. You might be able to like some people with mild case of asthma can do that, but a lot of other medication might be pretty strict on that. So yeah, that's the tough part, man. National Guard is the Army, but controlled by the state. Unless they are federalized, then they are controlled by the U.S. government. Yes. What will they do if you have a couple cavities in basic? Well, remember, did they do the dental exam? I can't remember if they do the dental exam at MEPS, where they might, if they found a cavity like at MEPS, they might make you go and see a dentist first before you could join. I don't really remember if you can. I mean, you could go on sick call still in basic training, but I don't know if they do dental stuff. I mean, they probably could potentially still send you to like a dentist to do stuff, but they might also identify that beforehand. So if you got the cavity in basic, then maybe they would do something. But if you came in, they might not let you like come in the Army with cavities or whatever. They might have you make them get filled or whatever. So I don't know. It'd be kind of a tricky thing. I'm not 100% sure on that, because you can still go on sick call in basic training, but I don't know if I remember anybody doing like dental sick call, because that's kind of a separate thing too as well, but same kind of process. And then said Gerard, they'll probably have them filled when you get to AIT, and yeah, that might be a possibility too. They might make you tough it out because AIT would be a little bit more lenient on being able to do certain things like that. So yeah, that might be a possibility too. Maybe they'd try to just have you suck it up until you get to AIT. Any way to get stationed in Germany? Can you ask for it? You can. They have you fill like a dream sheet, they call it, like when you're in AIT, and you can request where you want to go, and then sometimes you might get one of those places, sometimes you won't. So that's one way that sometimes you can hope for it. You can't usually get into your contract, not initially anyways. Otherwise, you usually have to sometimes like re-enlist for it, and you go and you re-enlist specifically to go to Germany, and that's a little bit easier to do it that way. Otherwise, it's by chance that you get Germany sometimes. So that's kind of how it would end up working. Leave for Fort Benning this coming week, 11 Bravo. I'm excited. Wish me luck, guys. Well, good luck to you, John. Hopefully it works out for you. Good luck at Fort Benning. Said in a couple weeks. Ooh, man, so it's going to be hot as hell when you're going through basic training, probably. I asked for it as a second duty station, got Texas instead. Oh well, but a lot of units do rotations to Germany, but I knew a handful of guys that went there after AIT. Yeah, it just really kind of depends. Yeah, there is people that go to Poland and Germany and Korea for like little rotations with units, and then you can re-enlist to go to Germany or whatever, and then you might be able to put it on your dream sheet for getting it as your first assignment. And it just depends. You might get lucky. I didn't get anything. Like at the time, like now I think they have you fill it on a computer as far as what duty stations you prefer that you would like to go to, and then you might get one of those, you might not. When I did it, it was just a card, and you had to write in on the card your top, I think it was 2 locations and 1 overseas location, and I didn't get any of those because I think they didn't have the option for where I wanted. I wanted Fort Irwin, and that wasn't even an option, I think, on the card. I think it was like Fort Hood I chose because that was on there, and then something else, I forgot what it was, and then for my overseas one, I think I chose Germany, and then my first duty station ended up being Kansas. It wasn't even on the card, but that's what I got stuck with. So we are right now at 1 hour of the live stream, so we're going to end it here pretty soon. We'll leave it a few more minutes. Before we end it, though, there is a P.O. box if anybody's interested in. This is the P.O. box right here. If you send me a self-addressed envelope, preferably with a stamp on it, As long as I still have chaos stickers, I'll send you a chaos sticker. If you just want to send me mail, whether it be a letter or maybe a box of rock stars, that's always acceptable, or whatever kind of a thing. This is the PO box. It is also down in the description below of most of my videos, if not all my videos practically. So you can get it from there as well. You don't have to like hurry up and write it down right now, but it is down in the description down below. So if you send me, like I said, self-addressed envelope to that guy, then you can pick up a chaos sticker. So yeah, don't forget to like the vid still. I mean, we're not over just yet, but in a few more minutes we will probably cut this off. We're only at 37, so we're definitely not going to get to 100, but it was a nice goal to kind of aim for. If you want to visit my website, you can do so by visiting ChristopherChaos.com. I do have chaos shirts that are available on the site. This is going to change pretty soon because I'm going to have a new layout to add the new shirts and certain things. For any of you who want, chaos leggings, which I still reluctant that anyone is ever going to buy chaos leggings, but it might be a choice at some point in time. We'll see. I put them there just because it was an option, but they have hoodies, tank tops, t-shirts, and there's some brand new cool ones that are coming pretty soon that I really like, such as like these guys right here. These are pretty awesome, cool new shirts that'll be coming to there pretty soon. The cryptic logo and all that stuff. There's also a Patreon. I got to make updates to the Patreon to make these a little bit better for perk wise, because YouTube still has not given me the availability for membership kind of thing for channel memberships. So hopefully one day they'll give me access to that and I can do that. But for now, Patreon is where you can get extra perks like early access to videos and intel about upcoming videos and all that kind of fun stuff. So visit the Patreon. If you go to ChristopherChaos.com, there's also a link down in the description to the Patreon as well. So you can visit it that way if you would like as well. So we got a few more minutes before we'll cut it off. We got Edward with a $5 donation. I was on the other screen, so it didn't pop up over here, and you probably didn't even get a chance to see the lights flashing. But thank you, Edward, for the $5 donation. Seems better to go reserves and volunteer for active ascents rather than go active duty. Just curious. So the main thing I always say with people who want to go try to make the decision of to go active or reserves or even National Guard, like reserves or National Guard is great for if you only want to do the Army part of the time. You want a civilian job to be your main job, your main source of income from a civilian job, or going to school or something along those lines, then that is great for that. If you don't really have a good civilian job that you want to do, or you're not quite ready to go to school yet, then active duty might be the better route to go, because maybe you want to make a career out of it. Maybe that's what you mainly want to do is, the Army kind of side, and that's where you want your main source of income to come from. So that's usually the main thing. Do you want to primarily do active, which would be primarily making the Army your day-to-day job, your lifestyle, or do you only want to do Army part of the time and have some other school or civilian job be your main source of income? So that's usually the best way to kind of weigh it out, I think, from there. So be glad you didn't get Irwin. Yeah, from a lot of people I've heard that have been stationed at Irwin, they always said it kind of sucked, but I always just wanted it because it was only 2 hours away from like my hometown, so it would have been nice to be able to visit family and all that stuff. But yeah, I do hear that from a lot of people. They say that it sucks. There's a lot of time in the field being in Irwin, so that's kind of the rough part. Does the Army have any duty stations in Japan, or is it just the Navy, Marine Corps that has Japan? I think not really like a dedicated Army base. There are some MOSs, certain people that could get attached to like the Marines or the Navy. I think the Air Force even might have a base in Japan. And so there's some instances there where Army individuals end up getting kind of assigned to a unit that's in Japan, but there's not like I don't believe there's a dedicated Army base in Japan. So it's a little bit harder to end up getting Japan, I believe, because of that. So yeah. Do they still get you for 8 years regardless? They do. Yes, you still have the 8 year requirement. Regardless of if you are signing a contract for 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, or whatever, you still have an 8 year commitment. It just really means that, let's say if you did a 4 year term, then you get the 4 year, you do the 4 years to get out of the Army, but for another 4 years, you're still on inactive reserve status, where if something came down and they wanted to call you back into the Army, they could for those 4 years. And also they could, have you go to like these little classes or whatever. But if you do 8 years, then after that, then you're not obligated to anything. So Alyssa's got to hit it up with a super chat. It's going to pop up any second now. I mean, lights are already flashing. No pop-up. I don't know where the pop-up's at. But Alyssa hitting it up with a 9. Did it already pop up and I missed it? Alyssa hitting up with a $19.99. There it is. $19.99 donation. Thank you very much. You rock. Hope you're having a great day. Well, that's very kind of you for just dropping in. Most people, you know, they have questions they want to get in on those super chats, and you just wanted to make sure I was having a good day. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. I remember you commented on the Facebook page about ordering one of the new Chaos shirts. I don't know, you might have missed it, but I did show earlier some of the new Chaos shirts that just recently got approved. They're not yet on ChristopherChaos.com, but those will be available soon. So if that is also a shirt you and your husband are interested in, then hold off a little bit because there's probably gonna be a discount code coming pretty soon once I have those shirts on the website. But I'll be posting on social media about those shirts when they are up and what the discount code is. So anybody else also that wants to hook it up and get one of those cool new Chaos shirts, or any Chaos shirt really, because the discount code will apply to everything. Then you can get a little bit off, maybe free shipping. I'm not sure what the discount code will be just yet, but get a little bit of a hookup on that. So, but thank you for the super chat, Alyssa. Good stuff. And hey, I like the leggings. Well, there you go. Nobody has bought the leggings just yet. I just did it because it was an option. I was like, I wonder what these look like with the Chaos logo on the side of them. So I did it, and I thought it was funny just to have it available in the store. One more question. I signed with a sign-on bonus, but I didn't get told exactly when I'd get it. Can you give me some quick insight on when to expect to receive my sign-on bonus? So typically, they can't. It depends. Sometimes it's outlined in the contract if it's an installment where you're going to be getting it over a period of time. And then some individuals get it once they've completed the training to make sure that you complete all the training. So sometimes it usually says in your contract. Most people usually get it like after they've graduated basic training at AIT. Then they'll notice it in their paycheck after that because they want to make sure that you've completed basic training at AIT before they give you that bonus. And then some individuals will kind of receive it in like installments. You get maybe the first installment after basic training at AIT, and then another installment after you've been in the Army for a year or whatever. But usually, whether it's all of it at once or installments, it's usually after AIT that you'll probably receive the bonus. So that's how it kind of goes. All right, we'll do a couple more questions, and then we're gonna call it off for the live stream because we're already at a little over an hour. I got a lot more video stuff to do. Next weekend is the Bataan Memorial Death March. I think I'm ready. It's gonna be exciting. I will still do a video on the on how that kind of goes. So that will come up later. I'm probably going to try to do a live stream from New Mexico, probably Saturday night, that Saturday night from there. So I'll try to do that. I even thought about maybe trying to do a live stream during the Bataan. I don't know what the signal quality will be like on White Sands Missile Range, but maybe, I don't know. No guarantees on that. Maybe it'll be on Instagram, so maybe follow me on Instagram, and I might have maybe do like a live stream on Instagram while I'm doing the Bataan on there. So that would probably be more likely. It might be difficult to do a YouTube live stream, but it also, like I said, depends on the signal quality that I get while I'm there. So that's the main thing. But yeah, that's coming up soon. So next live stream will be from a different state, different set. I'll be inside of a hotel for that live stream. So it'll be exciting. Thank you so much. I'll keep watching your videos. If I get my phone during basic, awesome, John. You might get some little opportunities here and there. You'll get opportunities to call home. I don't know how long you'll get with your phone, but usually they lock up all your phones, and then at a certain point in time, they'll bring them back out to let you call home and do some stuff, maybe send some text messages, and maybe you get a little bit of time to watch a Christopher Chaos video. I don't know. Did anyone drill sergeant ever call you chisel chest? No. Not at all. So the signal in White Sands is not very good. Ooh, that's going to be pretty crappy then. If the signal is very poor, then I'm not going to post anything during the road march, and everything's going to have to wait until after before I can do anything. So yeah, we'll do one more question, and we'll see if there's any more questions. But if you didn't like the stream, make sure you like it. We only got to 40 likes. I mean, that's still awesome. Not anywhere near the 100 goal that we were aiming for, but that's all right. So let's see, is there anybody else that's got maybe one final question before we end this stream? If there's anybody like that previously, I missed your question because I'm skipping around sometimes with some of these things, make sure to come back to the video later and make sure to leave your comment down in the comment section. Those are a lot easier for me to reply to and answer questions on. Otherwise, I might just miss it. Oh, I guess Edward is going to end the stream with a super chat. All right, Edward, thank you for the $2 donation. I will do a Peak Chaos live if interested. Oh, So there you go. So if anybody still wants more live stream video, maybe check out Edward's live stream after this is gonna be over with. a little paid self-promotion apparently, but hey, whatever. How do you join 31 Bravo? It depends on the MOS. Depends on the what the ASVAB requirement is for that, but I don't know what the ASVAB requirement is off the top of my head for 31 Bravo. So you'd have to look up to see what the ASVAB score for 31 Bravo to qualify for that would be. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and end the live stream. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I got a lot of video work to do since I'm gonna be so busy next weekend trying to tackle 26-mile road march that I have never done that many miles. It's kind of weird to call it a marathon because it's a road march. I don't know. I think of a marathon as people running down the street in a city, where this is the distance-wise marathon, but it feels different than a regular marathon. So I don't know. So that'll be coming up here soon. Hopefully I do well on that. I'll probably be hopefully live streaming the night before so we can hang out for that and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you enjoyed the live stream and you didn't already hit the like button, make sure you hit that. But if I missed your question, come back to leave some comments down there. And hopefully I'll get you to see you guys again here real soon. So thanks for hanging out. You guys rock. See you next time. See ya.